Hi, I'm Joseph Feinstein, founder of HimalayanBowls.com. Over the years, many people want to know how I got into singing bowls and how I started this unique business, Himalayan Bowls. Well, it started back in 1998. I was a young university teacher. I was in my late 20s, and the work that I was doing with my students was leading to health benefits that were unknown to me. In other words, the work that I was doing with I was teaching voice, speech, and movement, and the work that I was doing with my students was giving them unexpected benefits. I was getting students coming to me after class saying that their back pain was better, their headaches were going away, that they were just feeling, generally youthful and better from the breathing and voice exercises that we were doing. So at that time, it was before I studied the Feldenkrais method and really had become a private practitioner working with individuals on a daily basis on their health. So I didn't know much about the things they were talking about. I was experiencing them too, by the way. And I looked into it and discovered a field called sound healing. And that's kind of where I started, was with a book by Dr. Mitchell Gaynor, who was a cancer specialist and oncologist, who unfortunately died of cancer. But he wrote a book called Sounds of Healing, which was retitled The Healing Power of Sound. It's still pretty much the best book on the topic that's out there. And he was talking about how he used singing bowls to help his cancer patients in recovery. And I asked the question, what's a singing bowl? I'd never heard of it. And as soon as I asked the question, boy, I got the answer. They started kind of showing up in my life. I bought my first singing bowls and just fell in love with them and began collecting the antiques. So as my collection grew, I was still a teacher, and I started meeting all of the importers and all the known collectors of the antique singing bowls, and even traveling all over the country and even up to Canada originally to look for singing bowls around the United States. And I eventually went to Nepal, got introduced to the main collectors over there, and made a trip and started buying them in Nepal. Well, along this journey of collecting them for myself and building my set, which if you've seen the photo of me sitting on my big carpet with all the bowls around me, that's my big set of 63 singing bowls, which are all tuned to play harmoniously together. So I can play all 63 of those bowls and they all ring together. That's my kind of master set that I was working on starting back in 1998. By the way, you can hear that whole set on my recording, Himalayan Bowls. I play all 63 bowls on that beautiful recording. And one day I was sitting in my house with my bowls, and I looked over just like this to the right, and I noticed two big stacks of singing bowls that I realized I really hadn't touched for a few months. And being I was still a teacher, I realized that if I wanted to keep collecting these things, I needed to start selling some of them to make more money to collect them. So I started, in those days, this was the early days of eBay, so I started putting them on eBay and selling them, and locally too, around San Francisco. And then I went to a web programmer and said, I will pay you to sit down next to you and you show me how to put sound recordings on the internet. And so I went to this apartment that smelled like Big Macs and Doritos and sat down with this web developer in the Silicon Valley, and he showed me back in 1999 or so how to put sound clips on the internet. And that was the beginning for me, where I started recording the bowls in the early days with just a little microphone that plugged directly into my computer and putting the sound clips. I was the first person to put sound recordings of singing bowls on the internet. And of course, that really took off when people could actually shop for the actual bowl that they could hear and see in the photos. And so Himalayan Bowls was born, and I've been selling them the same way ever since. So I record every singing bowl myself. Today I use real professional audio equipment, and also photograph every bowl for the website. So you're getting a real true sound recording. You can hear what it sounds like and listen with headphones to hear the full tone. And you'll get the exact singing bowl that you hear in the recording. So really, it was a labor of love. It was my own collecting, and it grew out of that. And over the years, I've helped thousands of people with not only the antiques, but with the new singing bowls. It's a much larger quantity of singing bowls that we're able to make and offer today with the great quality new singing bowls. And that's another story of how I got into the new singing bowls, because I started going to Nepal collecting the antiques. And every trip I went, I saw that the new bowls were getting better and better and better. And it took until, I think, 2006, 2007 before I started importing the new bowls myself, because they got to a point where the quality had gotten good enough that I felt that they belonged on Himalayan Bowls. I had built this business on quality, that the bowls sound perfect. We hand choose every one. You're getting the one in the recording that sounds so beautiful. And the new bowls needed to do the same thing. By that time, the singing bowls had grown so much in popularity that actually they were good enough for Himalayan Bowls, and so I started importing them. I'm always available to answer questions, so please feel free to contact me by phone, email, or live chat at HimalayanBowls.com.